afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to Behind the Veil, a show that provides insight into the world of weddings. I'm your host, Keith Willard. Welcome back to the show. Look at that. You never know quite what's going to happen on live TV. Well, okay, today I'm so excited because we have one of our favorite guests that is coming back on the show. Her name is Rahel Sheerin. She is an international keynote speaker and an award-winning trainer who inspires audiences to sell more plus be happy. Shockingly. Look at that. You can sell more and be happy. As a high-performing catering executive turned sales coach, Rachel's sales strategy and team-first approaches resulted in higher profits and retention for 100% of her clients. Oh my God, that's crazy. But before I introduce Rachel, let me introduce Marcy Gutenberg with an affair to remember by Marcy. Hi, Marcy.
Hello. Hi, Keith. Hello, everybody.
You would think that it was kind of out of practice. It was like, what? Okay.
I'm so excited. Last week we had Sensei Megan Eli, and this week we have Sensei Rachel Sheerin.
My goodness.
Please. These are like people that I really gravitate towards. I am so excited for today. Last week was amazing.
And in 2 weeks we have Donna Shields from Acapulco Performance.
Oh my goodness.
So, we're starting
the year off right.
Yeah, 2022 is going to be an awesome year. So talking about 2022, the last couple of years have been crazy for us in the event industry. I mean, we went from famine to almost too much feast, right? And then
overnight.
And then when you're a small business owner or you're a catering salesperson, I mean, you're trying to make these strategic goals for yourself, but the world is not working with you.
No, and then there's a lot of new material that, there's a lot of new technology that's out there, a lot of new information, and it's a constant cycle of learning, getting fine-tuned, and I mean, it's just so much. So I'm excited for today.
I am too. So let me bring on Rachel Sheerin. Hi, Rachel. Welcome to the show, or welcome back to the show.
Hey,
hi,
y'all.
Rachel.
Thank you so much for having me. What's up from Charlotte, North Carolina, where it is a pretty sunny day, but not quite as warm as it is where you all are. I'll be coming down soon. Okay.
Oh, good. Well, how cold is it there?
Yeah, how cold is it?
Maybe something like 35, 39, something in the 30s. That makes me think, what are we all doing? Should we go all-inclusive resort lifestyle?
It's spring there. That's what you're saying. It's 35 degrees, it's spring.
Totally.
Well, this weekend it's supposed to be 70 degrees and 0% chance of rain, which is a miracle in itself down here in South Florida. So I'm so excited because I have one of my craziest weddings this weekend. So
I love it. Well, Keith, that means because you're acknowledging both of those things are true. For 5 minutes this weekend, a goal might be to stand out in the sun, to put on your earbuds, to listen to one of your favorite songs, to ride with the windows down from point A to point B. I mean, listen, a Saturday, sunny Florida. Yeah, let's do it.
That's what I'm saying. Let's get into this because you've been on the show before and you had some really great advice for helping people to set goals, not just financially, but personally. How am I going to make myself happier in the long term? Now, I'm assuming that, COVID changed some of those because we never thought that the world would come to a stop ever. Like that was just, the fact that Disney closed its doors for 6 months should say something about how crazy this world was. And I find myself going, okay, if I'm a small business owner or I'm in the sales industry, how do I even think about moving forward with goals? Do you start with personal and then move to business? Give me some direction here.
I love this. Well, one of the things about goal setting, and I don't know if this is how you feel, Marcy and Keith, or anyone out there watching, but sometimes when people talk about goal setting, I'm like, yeah, goals, I want big goals. I want shiny goals. I want goals that sound good. I have goals that maybe other people give to me, or I have goals that other people deem very important. Like one of the American dream goals that we have as a nation is own a house. And then, I just like to say in the world of 2022, are you seeing what these houses cost right now? What? Rent, call somebody to fix your washer and dryer. And anyone that's ever had to have an appliance delivery where the appliance doesn't fit or arrives dinged and it takes you 6 weeks to get your actual appliance.
Right.
I give this example not to say that one's better than the other, but I share it because goals sound oftentimes a lot better than they actually feel to accomplish. Like, y'all remember when we were crushing our like maybe more traditional goals, but then maybe you graduated college and you were like, oh, cool, I get to walk across stage and have a party. And okay, now I get to pay loans, or like now I get to have a job that needed this, or like here's my ticket,
So the idea of goal is better than it sounds better than it actually is.
Yes. And to me, that's that's like on the one hand why I personally I don't love goals in the traditional sense. On the other side, I want to say the high performer, oldest child in an Italian Catholic American family wants to take your goal, beat it, then like run laps around it, then kind of spit on it and be like, never underestimate me again. You know what I mean? Like, there is totally that side of things.
What a lovely family.
Well, it's so true. It's so true, because I think there's something so fun. Like, I've not met a person that doesn't enjoy winning, right? It might not be important to win, but they enjoy it. And people really long for meaning. People long for purpose. People long for impact. You know, I do hear a narrative going on in society right now that says like people don't want to work, you know, and I just want to challenge that and say like we all know the pride and joy that comes with doing a good job at something. What I think is maybe not what we're seeing right now is that people don't want to work at things that they don't make a difference in. They don't like matter.
Right.
They might there's some disconnect, I think, that where work is mattering and where people want to work. So on the opposite side of goals, I just want to say out loud, like to your point, Keith, I mean, y'all, I try not to live in the past, but I do still have my 2020 goals from January 2020. And to prep for like our conversation today, I looked at them and I was like, damn, those were good goals.
They were.
And I don't think I want those anymore. And I think that's like the weird thing about goals. Like, and I'd love to hear it from you all. I mean, being business owners, being in sales, being in leadership, when it comes to having goals that you've had, are you prepared, or have you thought of a goal that you said, you know what? I used to want that, but I don't want that anymore. Do y'all have anything?
Absolutely.
So do you feel like that is contributing to the mass resignation that we're seeing in the world? Is that people's goals have changed? Before it used to be, I mean, I'm an A-type personality, obviously, you know, if you haven't watched the show. But, you know,
Shocker.
Yeah, but the thing is that, you know, I've always been the same thing. It's like winning is everything, you know, having the coolest, next, biggest, craziest wedding, or, you know, having my calendar full of clients. You know, be careful what you wish for, because all of a sudden when those goals can happen, all of a sudden I realized that's not the goal I wanted. You know, and so then what do you do with that? What do you do with the fact that you set a goal and then you achieved it and now you don't want that goal?
Totally. Right. Marcy, have you ever gotten a goal that you like just don't want anymore?
Well, definitely. I mean, there are definite things. And I think especially over the last 2 years, I find myself, I was wanting more. And then I feel like I've gotten to that point where I needed to refine and revisit some of these goals, because they've gotten, you know, you set too many goals, you never achieve anything because it's too much on your plate and you can't stay focused. So I found myself having to reevaluate everything and refine my list of goals that I wanted to do. And I've gotten rid of some of them because frankly, they're not as important to me now as they were before.
Yeah. Like, what if the goal was to want less? What if the goal was to want different? You know, what if your goals are to, you know, like you're saying, like refine them, but also too, what if it's a goal to give your permission to slow down, which I want to shout out my coach, Mike Staver. He, you know, he has me basically writing these notes all around my house, my car, my travel bag, and it's 2 words and it says slow down. because I know one of the goals that I have, my problem, and I just want to admit this out loud, my problem is not doing more. I can always do more. Keith, Marcy, this is why we're friends. All right.
100%.
Like we are the people that see the tres leches cake be put into a bay window in direct sunlight a little too early, and it starts to melt, and no one has any clue. Like what happens between, oh my gosh, and like cutting the cake in the picture perfect. Like we are good at doing, we're good at saving things. We're good at being heroines and heroes.
Right.
When it comes to slowing down, like who's ever wanted a ceremony to go slower? Who's ever wanted buffet or plated dinner service to go slower? You know, like that's, and I think, you know, to your initial point, like Keith, like how has it changed? I would say that, you know, there's really like 3 things at the top of my list that I hope it's changing for you. And maybe, you know, if you're listening to this conversation, maybe you think about it a little differently, but it's, you know, I learned from the past. You know, I think if I look back in my life, some of my biggest mistakes were ones that I just had to learn like 20 times, dating the same wrong guy, you know, not studying until the night before in school, you know, trying anchovies over and over. I'll still try them, but I just don't think I like them. But I do like Bloody Marys now. So that's the new thing. But when you think about goals, like take a look at 2021, because, you know, we're hoping that you're watching this and that you're feasting, but you're exhausted. You're just like, oh, no more, please. No more, please. And we just want to say safe space. We see you. We understand you here, right? Like hashtag blessed, but like, can we slow the roll a little bit? Take a look at 2021 and ask, what am I going to keep? And what am I going to kick to the curb? What am I going to keep? And what am I going to kick to the curb? And this can be things like, I'm going to keep calling my mom on the way home from work, right? She really enjoys it. Like maybe you have a good conversation and there's a defined end time. So you don't have to be on the phone for 3 hours, right? You might want to kick to the curb the idea of Uber Eats, you know, like I'll be the first one to admit, I rely on Uber Eats way too much, right? So, okay, that was something, you know, in talking with my husband, King Sheeran, we decided, okay, we want to kick this to the curb. And then we, you know, of course, needed to plan, how are we going to do it? You know, I'm not a good cold turkey person, so we had to step it down. So what are you going to keep and what are you going to kick to the curb? I think that's kind of step number 1 that gives you insight, because it's not that you have to do something more. It's that you just have to keep doing it. And I will be damned, y'all, if consistency isn't hard, but it's so helpful because it's easy. Like in the whole of things.
But, you know, you've added a bunch of personal stuff in here, like, you know, kicking to curb Uber Eats and, you know, dating the wrong guy several times. I mean, those feel like very personal goals. And are you saying, because we talked, the original question is, do you start with personal first and then work your way up? Because I think a lot of people have a separation in their head that this is my personal space and this is my professional space.
Yeah.
And I don't need to make goals for me personally. I need to make goals for me professionally.
Yeah.
And it sounds like, no, you need to do both.
Yeah, great question.
Yes.
Sorry, Keith, I missed that. So let me ask you this. When you hear that a chef is cooking with love, how do you expect the food to taste?
Amazing.
And if I were to tell you that the chef is cooking with resentment and bitterness, how do you think the food would taste?
Like Japanese, Indian food sometimes.
Like just like angry, right? Fire, spicy, right? It might be super salty. It just there's a difference with cooking with love and there's a difference with cooking with hate. What I would say, I think that's really interesting. This might be the mindset shift, is that when we think about professional goals, I just want to say, if you're watching this, if you tune in to Keith and Marcy's conversations every week, I just want to say, like, my money's on you that you're professionally successful in these already traditional ways. What I think a lot of times people who serve others in our industry, when we serve others, we miss that the true person we're here to serve is ourselves, even if it feels a little selfish or a little uncomfortable. But also too, if we are not achieving things that matter to us, then everything else is going to be sprinkled with martyrdom. It's going to be sprinkled with overwork. It's going to be sprinkled with burnout. And we all know that person, right? Yeah. That person, I can think back to me being that person.
I'm like, I put up a mirror.
That's me.
Right?
Burnout, you know?
Yeah. And think about those clients that you work with that I know for a fact, I thought I was faking it super well. I was like,
Yes.
I care so
Yes.
deeply about your event. And then, from like screen right, it's like, no, put the gun down, like I didn't care. Great choice, beef Wellington. Next,
But that's a hard part because we're fake it till you make it people. That's what we do. Fake it till you make it. I mean, that was one of the things that I remember when I was in high school economics class. There was a motivational speaker that came on and talked about fake it till you make it. But I don't feel like that rule ever it still applies. I think that faking it till you make it just means that you're going to be faking it. And people are going to see it. And sooner or later, you're faking yourself out of a good life.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like when the doors open up and you are, you're going on stage. It's kind of an equation there where you're going on stage and you're putting on a performance for your events because your events you want your events to be flawless for your guests,
Yeah.
Right.
And for your client. So, yeah, I mean, it's a similar tradition or a similar thread there.
It's so true. And how about too, and this is where I go into the way that I set goals is actually not just personal and professional goals. The way I look at it is actually a quadrant. And the quadrant is that I set goals and I encourage you all out there to set them. I set them personally, professionally. I set a relationship goal and I set a community goal. Because the fact of the matter is that you will not succeed and crush your goals professionally every single year of your life. Okay. You won't crush them personally every single year of life. But you know what? You're going to crush them if you set them. And even if you conquered one thing in each quadrant, maybe once a quarter, if you conquered one thing for 1 year, let's say your professional life just took a big turn down. And let's say your personal life wasn't very good either, but yet your relationship with your spouse, or maybe your relationship with a sibling, or how about the volunteer work that you do in the community, or maybe you're on a board of an association, like that kind of stuff. We need those wins. We need it. You hear about this in finance, a diversified portfolio. We need to be investing and having goals in these areas because these things are much bigger than us. We are so much bigger than our work. Work is lucky to have all of our magic there. But so are our relationships, and I've been the guiltiest one. I've said the lie. I'm on the way. I am not on the way when I'm on a networking event. I am sitting in the parking lot talking to somebody for 2 more hours because I've missed y'all. Okay. But if I have a goal of a relationship that I'm going to eat dinner with my spouse every single night, or I'm going to show up as the daughter, or how about the friend that doesn't slide in the text messages at 11:30 at night saying happy birthday? What about if relationships and friendships are important to you in 2022? Can you write down a goal of saying, I'm going to pick 5 people, only 5 people. I'm going to get their birthday cards now. I'm going to fill them out now. I'm going to stamp them and address them now. And I'm going to put them on my desk, or I'm going to have them in my car so that when the reminder comes up on my calendar, or you can even schedule an email that they're going to be thought about and reached out to in a way that I feel really proud of. I mean, that's such a base level thing you can do right there to be the friend you want to be.
But here we are, and I'm talking from a personal level because it's, obviously the only way I can really talk about things is from a personal level. I was so slammed busy, like I could not see straight. I mean, it was to a point that something had to give, or I was going to be mentally unstable, not just constantly, but forever. Shut up, Marcy. Anyway. I'm mentally unstable. Anyway,
I didn't say anything.
Stable as a table, Keith. Stable as a table.
But I mean, it sounds great to say, okay, I'm going to make goals for my 4 quadrants: personal, professional, relationship, and community. But there's also a part of me that goes, oh, great, one more thing to put on my schedule today. I got to do one more thing. I mean, how do I convince myself that this is the right direction to go? To say, what, if you're out there listening right now, and I know you're slam busy, and I know you're stressed out to the max, and your clients are driving you crazy, but take 10 minutes and do this. I mean, how much time should somebody take? first of all, right? I mean,
I'm not big on rules, Keith. I go
I
organic.
know.
Some people goal set for a month. Some people revisit it and all this stuff. I got to tell you, I do my goals quarterly, and by do them, I mean I look at them. I look at them daily, and I really check in on them. The questions I ask: do I still want this goal? Why am I going for it? How will I know that I achieve it? I mean, this is when you're really rested. But Keith, let me say out loud to the folks that are tired, they're fatigued. Maybe you're getting goals from other people, right? In maybe our leadership, things like that. How do you manage that? Well, let me just make you a very base level indicator here, a very base question. What sounds fun? What sounds fun? What doesn't feel like work? Do you remember, and I distinctly remember this moment. Remember when you discovered that weddings and events was an industry?
Yes.
And that we could get paid for it? I have goosebumps right now.
I know, yeah.
Oh my God. Yes. Oh my God.
And you were like, what?
I can have parties and people pay me?
And I
get to eat fabulous food, and I get to hang out in beautiful spaces and create them. And how about even more than that? I get to be part of somebody's best day ever.
Mm-hmm.
Even on the corporate side, right? Even on the corporate side, how do we, I mean, I think back to so many meetings I was a part of, or even like down to catered lunches for trials. And it's like someone is having one of the hardest conversations of their life right now. And I know how good food can change it. Right. And I was a part of that. And then there's these moments, which I'm sure we've all had a little too many of, where we're like, work, and then you're like, this isn't fun. This was never fun. Like, I don't know what I was thinking, and then somebody's like, you need to eat or go to bed, and you're like, okay. So I want to just say, like, with goal setting, I think that's, again, Keith and Marcy, like what you bring up is this idea of like, I'm going to lose 80 pounds. I'm going to make $150,000. I'm going to sell a record number of, clients this year. I'm going to, I don't know, like run a triathlon or something. And it's like, okay, first of all, like dope, but like, I don't think our problem is pressure or setting high enough goals. I think it's the exact opposite. We don't pick goals, and it's more important than ever right now to pick goals that feel like fun, that feel like play. What if a personal thing is that you want to watch 100 movies this year, or you want to catch up on all the seasons of The Bachelor, or watch Survivor? Or what if a personal goal is to, like wallpaper your bathroom, something completely like absolutely like ridiculous and bougie. And you know what? Maybe you're the only one that's ever going to see this bathroom, but you know what? Good for you. You're going to like it. Like a personal goal should feel fun. And it should be so, to me, I have baby goals and I've got goals that I'm like, if I get 80% of the way, 50% of the way to this goal, I'm going to be like, go me. And that's maybe tough. Like, have you ever gotten most of the way or some of the way to a goal and still felt proud about it?
Right.
Yes.
I love that. So we just got a question that says, what constitutes a real goal? Like, wait.
People's opinions, maybe? Yeah. I don't know. Your opinion?
I think I know what they're saying. What is the definition of a good goal?
Oh, sure. So there's actually a few different schools of thought on like what creates a goal. To me, the definition that I work off of is that it's a desire. So it's something that you actually want, which is oftentimes not the case. So it's something that you actually want, that you understand the cause of your desire, and that is somehow measurable. And I want to say out loud, measurable, oftentimes, like especially in business, we're thinking that it's money. We're thinking that it's number of clients, number of events. It could be percentage growth, things like that. That's one way to measure it. But I want to say out loud, some of the things, some of the different ways you can look at those numbers and feel differently is how quickly you close something, how quickly you identify when a client is not for you. I'm just thinking professionally. To me, I have had clients that should have paid 15 times their rate because of the pain in the butt that they were, right? And so now one of the goals that I had a couple of years ago was to say, okay, who is my client and how do I know that they're my people, right? Because my people, we chill, we drink margs, we have a good time together, and they help me keep work feeling like fun.
Right.
And when that happens, especially for you all and anyone out there who's in events, weddings, catering, when it feels like fun, that's when our creative sides come out. You know, when it feels like work, then every single menu, I can say out loud, every single menu I sold towards the end of my catering career was the exact same menu.
Yeah. Well, and and here's the thing is that I think that if you don't have fun with what you're doing, your sales suffer. People are attracted to passion and joy. They are. They are attracted to that. So when you speak from a place of pure joy and passion, people buy it. They're like, oh my God,
So
I
true.
love you. Oh my God, I can tell how excited you get about what we're doing. And so, and I think that that's something that a lot of people lost, obviously, in 2019, 2020. And then again, 2021, it was almost the reverse, is that I almost forgot why I love what I do. I mean, there was a point that I actually really did forget why I love what I do because it felt like a chore every single time. It's like I was doing it because I had to. I had to make sure that I gave my clients every ounce of blood that was left in my body to make sure that their event went well. But did it come from a point of passion? Yes, the event went beautifully, but when I look back at it, the pictures are gorgeous, but do I have the same feeling about it that I used to have when I first started my business?
Yeah.
And that's a hard place that's a hard place to come back from, especially for people out there. So now, and this is why I'm so excited that you're on, is because now we're in a repositioning situation. We're finally there. We're finally at a point that we go, okay, we understand this. It's not going to go away. We're going to figure out how to make sure that we're moving forward in a solid manner, and we now understand that there is a oh my goodness, where's my brain? A repositioning about our thought process about what is important to us. We don't do jobs just to do jobs anymore, and you can see that with the mass resignation. Is that people said, that's not the goal I wanted. When I realized that life is not forever, and that this could be it, all of a sudden everybody's brainwaves changed.
And it's now, if not this, then what?
Yes.
Which I think
Yes.
is one of the scariest and most liberating questions you can ask yourself. Taking a look at, the goals you've had. I will say my friend Kate O'Neill, who's an incredible futurist, she's a human futurist. What she talks about is, she says it's not the great resignation, it's the great reset. Because it's not just the action of leaving, it's the action of resetting where we are as, I think, a society, as a working world, as a culture, things like that. So when you think about like the if not this, then what question, that I think can be a really great thing to ask, previous goals, or maybe goals you have that you feel like you have to do. Like, well, what does it look like if instead of saying like lose 80 pounds or, break the record for sales in my district, what if not this, what if I thought about it in a different way? What if like the goal was not to lose weight, but it was to get stronger or to move my body more? Well, then that sounds like I should just take a walk with my dog 3 or 4 times a week, right? Like
that's a goal.
That's great. And that is a goal. Yeah, that's a goal, which, by the way, if you're like me, you might enjoy goal stacking, which is the strategy of saying, okay, well, look at the landscape. And by the way, I just free write all my goals and my quadrants, and then I try and organize it. I'm naturally not too organized. But I look at it and I say, okay, well, what are these things that I can do simultaneously? And let me tell you, moving my body 4 times a week is one on my goal list. Walking the dog when I'm home, because I travel about 50% of the time, is on my goal list. And calling my mother more is on my goal list. My goal is to call my mother twice a week on the phone and have a 20 to 30 minute conversation with her at a minimum. And it's not because it's a chore. It's because that I can get so involved in my work and my clients and things like that, that I forget to pop out. And by the time I think, oh, I wonder what mom's up to, it's 11:30 at night in California, and hopefully she's not up, So I stack them and I loop them together, because y'all, even if it is for this moment in my life, even if it's just for this quarter this year, I can honestly say, and this is, I think, my wish and my goal, and honestly my prayer for everyone out there, is that you set goals that are not only achievable, because you're superstars, I think you are going to achieve them, but that when you achieve them, the thought is not just I did it and I feel good, but I am really proud of the person I was while I was achieving this. Because I mean,
Yeah,
when
I
you
get
think
that.
about personal goals, it really is, it's a matter of opinion and they might be fleeting, but it's about the days you invest into it that are going to return the most.
Well, I think, one of the other areas that I think is that Will Smith actually said ages ago that you have to get past the fear in order to get to the joy. And I always loved that
That's
kind of saying. And I think what happened during COVID is that everybody was presented with their worst fear. I'm out of a job. I have no money. I don't know what's going to happen. And so all of these people that were stuck in these jobs and were in the jobs because of fear, because they didn't want to go without, all of a sudden went, oh, it's not nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be, or I found a solution, or maybe it was horrendous, but they lived through it, and now they realize that, oh my God, now I can do more. Now I can do something else.
yeah.
And so I get the not mass resignation but repositioning. I love that. I love
Yeah.
that, and I think that it's going to take some time for people to get back into their groove, so to speak. But
Totally.
but how do you get? Oh, sorry, Marcy, were you going to ask?
No, go ahead.
Okay, but so if
Yeah.
you're in a repositioning situation and you don't know where you're going to go, so let's say that you did finally leave that catering job, or you've gotten out of the event industry and you're in something else, and you're in kind of a no zone, like you have zero knowledge of what is about to happen, or whatever, whatever sales or workplace that you're going to go into. Do you then focus on personal goals and then slowly stack and build on the professional stuff because
Huh.
I'm what I want to ask is, how do you make sure that people are successful in achieving their goals?
Well, Keith, as you were talking about this, the thing that came to mind was actually thinking about it instead of saying like, oh, you're not sure what goals you have.
Right.
I think about it in a way that like oftentimes, and I do see this with a lot of my clients. I work with a large mortgage agency right now, a large mortgage company. And one of the challenges is that they have is that their leaders are worried about setting goals that are big enough or strong enough or too strong for their employees on their
Right.
teams.
Right.
And I think this is both a great show of empathy and awareness on the leadership's part, but also to kind of this interesting conundrum, like what's the right goal? What's the right kind of temperature? Because we've got a little bit of PTSD, we've got a little bit of gun
Yes.
shyness in goal
Yes.
setting because I mean, I admitted it. I have my 2020 goals. I see them. 2021, I was like, make it not 2020. That was the goal, right? Like, please, like God, anything but that. So,
Yes.
right. So I think when you think about it, what I would say is that, a lot of times there's two pitfalls that goals can often have. And this can be in a professional setting. It can be goals that are prescribed to you. It can be ones that you set yourself. The first pitfall we fall into is that they're goals, like a mime. And basically what it means is that like, I might see, Keith and Marcy, the goals that you set. And Marcy, let's say that you want to redo your entire bedroom and you want it all to be Louis Vuitton bed sheets and Tiffany candlesticks and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, wow, luxury den, like la la la, right? Yes. And maybe Keith, you put on a goal where you're like, okay, I want to work with 4 celebrity clients in the summer, and I'd like to, buy a house in the Hamptons. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like first of all, I love these goals for y'all. Like I love. Okay, done and done. Okay, I love these goals. But what I want to say out loud is that we often fall into, and it's just our biology, is that we see what people we like and people we admire have, and we're like, oh, I want that too, without realizing, first of all, I don't need I don't need nor want celebrity clients. Like that doesn't make any sense for me, right? Marcy, I don't I don't need Tiffany candlesticks. Like I first of all, I forget to blow out my candles all the time, but secondly, I'm not really even home that much, right? And so like while I say these things, and these are just made up goals, by the way, for y'all, I'm like, gosh, I wish I had a house in the Hamptons. I could live next to Taylor Swift. It would be great. Like, I don't need that. And so we fall into this pit of like taking other people's goals and making our own goals. So I would say sometimes you can use others for inspiration, but what I would say is that it's actually, if you're wondering like, oh gosh, like what do I want? I think a lot of times it's because we're too close to other people's goals. We're too close, especially to like strong personalities like us. Sometimes we can hear other people's goals, but it's kind of like wearing other people's shoes. Like they're not your foot. Like that's just weird. Like we can borrow shoes in a pinch, but like typically not. But the other side of goal setting is that we focus on what we're going to lose instead of focusing on what we're going to gain. And so if you're out there as a leader or just as an individual and you're wondering, gosh, like what goals do I want to set? Like to me, well, what is it that you want to gain? Like and so we've already looked back and say, what do we want to keep and what do we want to kick to the curb?
Right.
I would challenge you to look forward and by the way, you can do it, look forward for this month, look forward for this quarter or this season of the year. You can look forward for the year if that's the way your mind thinks. I work in quarters myself. But I look forward and ask yourself, what is it that I want to gain? Not what I want to lose.
Right.
Because when you lose something, by the way, your brain automatically is going to go search for it. So like for weight example, you don't lose weight, you release weight. Okay. Shout out to my therapist, Jenny, on that one. Right. Cause I don't want to find that weight. I want to release it and say, hey, thanks for protecting me. And like, I'm good now. Like, but what I want to gain is strength. What I want to gain is habits. What I want to gain is time with my dog and time outside in nature and time talking to my mom. So boom, boom, boom. That goes my evening walk of it. Right.
Well, I want to gain another co-host. Hello, Brooke.
Yeah. Oh. I thought that it was going to go left real quick, and I'm like,
hello.
Hi. So, I have ring light problems, as everybody has figured out over the month. But I have been watching and listening, so I'm kind of in the know right now.
You're good. Good.
And here we go again.
There you go with your life. But that's the thing. It's like, here we are, four different people. We all have personal goals versus, our professional goals. And I love the fact that you had talked about that you want to be positive in your goal setting, right? You want to be able to get to a point that it's something that's achievable and that you feel. So should I start my goal setting because let's say I have been beat up. Let's say I've been beat up by 2019, 2020. Or 2021. I'm into 2022. Should my goal be, okay, 3 times a week I'm going to go walk and just leave my goal at that?
What I would challenge you with, Keith, and Marcy, I'm going to come to you next and hear about like maybe a goal that you're thinking about gaining, right? Something you can gain. Keith, when I hear you say like, should I leave it at that? My question to you is, why do you feel like you have to do more?
Oh, look at you, psychologist. Oh, Dr. Phil on the air. What?
Just lay down. Just lay down, Keith. Lay down.
I mean, that.
And that's like a question for everyone. Why do we feel like we need to do more? But you, Keith, what about you?
I love that. I love the fact that you just said that. And that, okay, Marcy's next.
I love it. Well, Marcy, when it does come to that you want to gain this year, like, did that bring up anything for you?
Yeah.
Well, last year I actually lost weight and I am still losing weight. I've lost 80, actually, speak of 80 pounds, I've lost 80 pounds.
I mean,
you've released it. I released it. It's not coming back.
No, it's not coming back.
Baby Jesus is gone. Yes.
And so I think my goal is I actually at this point, because, we get through the holidays and so forth. And even though we spent it alone, I think that for me, I want to do a reset. For my husband does it with me. He's very good about doing the food that I want to do and doing a routine that I do.
Love
so that
supportive king.
He is amazing. And, it's good for both of us. And I think that it brings us together closer and I feel healthier and he feels healthier. And I just think that that's something that I want to do for myself and for him, because, as we get older, we want to be healthy and we want to be there for others and we want to do things together and so forth. So I think that's a big part of setting goals. But, I think one thing that I kind of want to challenge, or not challenge, but maybe put out there, is that we tend to look at our goals and then we're in the thick of it. We're moving, we're trudging along and so forth. And then things like maybe materials or labor shortages or things like that kick up, and then we're stuck having to put our own goals aside to tend to things once again for something that we thought was taken care of. And we're having to retake care of it again. And
You feel
And
like your
how
goal
do
got,
we
your goal got got delayed? You feel
delayed?
like
Well, like either delayed, or I mean, it could be a multitude of reasons why you're having to either reorder or check on why things aren't able to be done, or
yeah.
what's the source of how do we move past that and still achieve our goals.
That's a great question. And Marcy, I think, to you pointing out labor is a challenge right now.
Mm-hmm.
Hiring, keeping, retaining, appreciating team members can be challenging. And vice versa for retaining and appreciating leadership. And then also too, just, the way the world has taught us, if anything, it's like a roller coaster. And then sometimes it stops when it's supposed to stop. And then other times it just blazes right through. And it's like another round. And you're just screaming and you're like, I kind of want to get off. I needed to get off,
Right.
So this kind of idea, I think that's where, not only having the quadrants, I think will be helpful because it diversifies you, when you have maybe professional things that get put on the back burner because you're having to deal with X or Y issue.
Like being on time for your own show.
Yep. Classic Brooke, right? Yes. But on the other side,
Oh, she watches. Good. Okay.
Yeah, I've seen this. I've seen this happen occasionally.
That's funny.
But here's the thing. I think one of the great things, and I mean, Brooke, since you bring it up, it's a great example. Like Brooke, you're very much the person that you are, and everyone really embraces and loves you for it. And I think your friendship, and I think
I don't quit.
Yeah.
This ring light did not stop me after this makeup job, and I just colored my hair this morning. I'm like,
it.
no.
Look
This
at
is
fabulous.
happening. If
Look
I could run a flashlight.
Right? Well, and
thank you. Well,
here's the thing. Well, and as Brooke goes back into the darkness, and still looking beautiful, what I want to say is that that's a great example. Like if you were to judge Brooke right now as an AV professional or as a TV professional, I think it would be a moment of oh no, poor Brooke. But here's the thing, Brooke's so much more than that. So it's okay, well, what do we need to reset? I would also say too, Marcy, I think one of the challenges, and it's both a superpower and an Achilles heel to our industry, is how much we identify with the work that we do. Like when we talk about what we do or who we are, our jobs come out. What do you do? And I just want to say out loud, be the person out there that normalizes being so how's it going? And you're like, great, I have this awesome goal I'm going towards. Here's what it is. What do you think? Who do you know that can help me? Because that's, I think, one of the things that's great too, is if you do not know your goals, and then if you do not share your goals, what you're doing is you're robbing people of the opportunity to cheer you on, to help you, and to celebrate you. Okay.
And to also learn.
Oh my gosh, yes, Brooke. How about the bonus of learning? Because Marcy, you're talking about releasing 80 pounds last year, which is incredible. But you know what, Marcy, you had to do that, and you had to make decisions to make that happen every single hour of every single day of last year. You know what I mean? And sometimes you did. Most of the time, it sounds like you did really great. I bet there were a couple times where you were like, "Screw this! I'm going AWOL. I'm going to do what I want to do." And we don't see that, right? We just see the result of your goal. And I will say out loud, the people you did let into your inner circle, like your husband, right? They were there cheering you on every single day and celebrating it with you, and got to see the person you were, the person you are, and the person you were being as you were on the way to the goal. Again, I look back now and I'm like, dang, every goal that I've had, I wish I could go back now and just be like, man, this goal doesn't feel that good, but damn, I crushed it on the way to it. Look at that hustle. Keith, to that question I was asking you, why do you feel like you need to do more? What are we not appreciating about our goals? Do we just look at it through this high performer lens? I just want to say out loud, I remember when I did Couch to 5K a couple of years ago, and it said you're laughing, everyone that's on the couch. Congratulations, because you used to be there. Right. And I think about that sometimes, but what's so funny is that I'm like, well, yeah, but I'll never run a 10K. I'll never do. And you're just like, God, Rachel, can't you just appreciate it?
Right. Oh, you know what? That's so smart that you just said that, because it is our own little inner voice that goes, okay, well, great that you made that, but I bet you can't do the next. X.
Your
You know,
inner
and
saboteur.
yeah, your inner saboteur. And, and I think that what you were just saying is, don't be afraid to be open about, what your goals are, because you'll be surprised at how many people actually are supportive. There's always going to be
Oh yeah.
some bitchy queen in the
Yep.
corner.
And sometimes they're related to you, or they live with you, or they're
Or they
close
lay
to
up on
you.
your couch. Yes, lay
Yep.
up on your couch for a couple weeks.
Some of your biggest supporters are people you've never met, or people like you've only met once or twice. Like I love that. Like, why not? If you give love to everyone else, free flowing, are you giving people the opportunity to flow it into you?
Right.
Not if you don't share your goals, not if you don't share your struggles, like not if, and I will tell you, the more serious you are about your goals, like the more that it lights you up, the more that you start with fun and you're like, why not? I will tell you this. When I first started being a keynote speaker, I had a really clear goal in mind, and it was to ride on a private jet. I was like, I'm going to have a private jet. Like, no problem. Like, I will fly private. It's no problem.
Yeah.
So the
She
first
is a little
year,
gooder one. Good on Amazon.
Yeah.
Right. Let's
one.
go. And so one of the things was the first year or two, like when I would say that in examples, maybe I was sales training, like a CVB, for example. And I would say that, and there would be laughs. There would be laughs from the crowd. Okay, no problem. Third year, here's the thing. I stopped laughing when I said it. I stopped being apologetic about it. And now people on Instagram will tag me in like international jet. And they'll be like, I think this would be great. Like there was the Playboy jet just got redone by International Jets, and there's an Hermes jet and stuff like that. And so people will send it to me and be like, I think you'd look fly in this one, because damn straight I would. But it's only because I was bold enough to have that goal. Like I have a goal. Part of the reason that I'm looking to MC and keynote about 70 events this year for corporations and associations. So if you're out there and you're a corporate meeting planner, like please talk to me, come email me at rachelsheeran.com. But when you think about the reason I'm real upfront about these goals, when you support me, I'm going to take my girlfriends and my friends and family on an all-inclusive paid vacation every single year, like Sarah Blakely does. I don't know if you
love that.
That's awesome.
Yes, but that's part of my why. And yes, I got some Miss America goals, very philanthropic. I'm a venture capitalist, so I invest in women-owned businesses. So we're currently co-owners of a couple, and just invest in these women founders. But I want to say I've got some big goals, of course, security for my family, donating, stuff like that. But please do not mess. Private jets, all-inclusive paid trips for everyone, no matter where you are financially in life. I want to take care of my friends and my family. Because, and by the way, I want to do like a rap video with like all my girls, like kind of rough style. Here's the thing. Why? None of it helps my career. None of it helps my bank accounts necessarily.
It can, but damn it, it's fun.
Because it's fun.
Just fun.
Because it's fun.
So I love the fact that you can have goals that are kind of in the fantasy land with the idea that maybe one day they could actually come true. And sometimes maybe you have to say the goal to yourself, you said multiple years, before you finally yourself start taking it seriously.
Totally.
But don't be afraid to write it down, and don't be afraid to say it.
Your desires are not put there by accident. That's
that was my weight thing.
The dark before Lucifer takes over again on the FPL bill. I want to say something, and Marcy, this is actually about, and I've said this once or twice, but there's a point to this.
Yes.
We all have, we just heard Marcy speak about publicly her journey, which Keith and I knew behind the scenes, obviously. Yeah. When I first met Marcy, before she did any of that, I'm a pageant girl. So I judge people, right? Look-wise. And I'm like, if you're not done from head to toe, okay. Marcy has always been beautiful to me, no matter what size or shape, and that woman is done from head to toe, no matter what size. And that's the kind of person that you need to look at. And she made me step up my game, to be honest, because you know what I'm saying. I love you, Marcy. She's still got it going on, and she looks fabulous. Slow down, girl. I've only lost 20 more. I got 20 more to go, but shoot.
But it was really something that it was a goal of mine that I had set for, like you said, years and years and years. And after every year, I just got to a point where I was giving up on that goal. And then there was like a light bulb that went off. And that was the one that I said, okay, that's it. I'm done. I have to do something.
Yeah, me too. I'm getting on Amazon, getting new ring light.
When you were talking about it too, I just want to reflect what you said. You didn't say, oh, and I lost X amount of dress sizes and I lost, X amount of. You didn't lose. You gained closeness with your husband. You gained new health,
Better health, yeah.
Better habits. You gained a longer life, different activities, and that might be one of the things that you put on your goals for this year. It's like,
Yes.
well, okay, like personally, like I have a goal. King Sheeran, my husband, he's found running and he crushes it. He's like at 100 miles a month or something like that. I mean, the abs are kicking, so I'm not hating on it,
done,
right?
Done.
It is good.
I have 3 loads of laundry to do.
Right.
So.
But let me say out loud.
Magic Mike in the bedroom. Okay.
Right. I told him a shirtless calendar when my book comes out at the end of the year would be a really, really great giveaway.
Oh, we should totally do a nice calendar.
Yes,
Oh,
I love that. But when you think about, the different things that you're adding, maybe Marcy, for you, it's like, well, what are you going to gain, with your husband? What is something that you want to gain and do together? Like for me, I just want to be able to do a 5K with him. I always look, and I don't know about y'all, but in Florida, that's very common. I see these beautiful couples running together. And I have consistently been the person that is probably on our way to brunch. And I'm like, ugh. And it turns out, y'all, that I think it is really cool to be healthy with your partner. I really admire you, Marcy. I think that's awesome.
That.
And so, like, that's gaining time, though. And that's gaining, like, and y'all, can you just imagine how cute we're all going to be? When we achieve our goals. That's,
what do you mean good, honey?
By the way.
I never thought I was ugly.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think the level of cuteness, I will say this. I think when you make goals fun, I think there is always a visual component to me personally. And I think it's common in our industry because we are creative. Yeah. I just want to like suspend reality here and say that, like, if while on your private jet, you're wearing a white bikini with purple palm trees and a cowboy hat like I am, I don't know why that's the outfit, but that's the outfit. And you know what? That's silly, but damn right. I look good in my mind.
Listen, I'm sold if that personality goes along with all of that.
Yeah,
true.
As long as that personality will take away from that whole thing you just said I should never see. Yeah. Like that's the thing. I think it's the personality. Like that's what draws me to people.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's like, do I want to talk to you? Do I want to be around you? Do you make me smile, or do you make me want to hit you? That's where I go with, like, do you have integrity? Simple things.
So one of the things I wanted to bring up, because we are getting close to the end of the thing, is that sometimes we don't know that the goals are the goals that we need to make for ourselves. And I'll give you an example. Again, I'm pulling from personal experience. This last weekend, my husband finally said, "Get off your ass. We're going up north." And I had been sick with COVID and all sorts of, and just stress and all that stuff. And we hadn't spent time together, like just the two of us, in months, like at least a half a year. We've been with family. We went on a cruise with both of our mothers. And so, we'd always been around other people. And what a difference it made, just the two of us going and hanging out with each other. And I would have never realized to make that goal for myself. I wouldn't have thought of it. So, how do you get to a point that you go, okay, how do I step outside of myself and look at myself in a third person point of view to say,
because you're crazy and always busy and always working, and you're like, oh wait, maybe I should go take a nap or go on a boat. I love boats. I got married on one.
Okay, I love that Brooke is basically like the truth slap here. I will back clean up here. Brooke is like, well, let me tell you.
But I am Batman's biggest fan. I'm telling you right now.
I know that's said with love.
But you know what I mean? How do you because sometimes there's just goals that you don't realize that you really need to make for yourself, and that they would improve your life dramatically if you did
Keith,
so.
When I hear that antidote, which I'm so thrilled for you, I love it just remembering how good a rejuvenation weekend, reconnecting. What I hear in that actually isn't a goal that you could have even seen coming or said. That these weekends are helpful, so that's great. And if you want to add that to your plate, awesome. But what I would say is that you knew you could trust your husband, number one. You know that he has your best intentions in mind. And number three, he looked out for your downside and your blind side. And I think that's what's so cool. Like if you tell me that your goal is to, be the incredible event professional and planner that we all know you to be. Okay, check. For you to just feel better or recover, or like chill out or stop overwhelm, check. Then as someone who loves you and trusts you, like your husband looked out for you. And I think that is maybe where I challenge you, everyone who's listening, all of us here. And I need this lesson sometimes too, is when the people we let into our inner circle say something, we listen, we respect them, we make time for it, because we don't always know best. Like that's what I hear sometimes with goals, is that we put it all on us. How do I do it? How do I do it? Keith, sometimes the fact of the matter is that the best goals sometimes are found when we allow people to take care of us and to help us.
Because Keith is the best at what he does, but what he sucks at is like taking alone time for himself and chilling out.
Or maybe we should be.
Keith, I need you to buy me a new light, darling. Because
thank you.
if we know one thing, I know he needs a break, and he's like, "Well, she clearly needs a new light."
Well, but
and a watch.
But sometimes I'm thinking that sometimes you need to ask outside of yourself about goals that you should be setting for yourself. That's where I was going. Is that sometimes that maybe it's not a horrible thing to ask your partner or somebody that you trust, what is a goal that you think I should think about? Is that a scary situation? Is that like something that shouldn't be done, or what's your thought?
I think proceed with caution would probably be, if I was a sign here, I'd say proceed with caution, because not everyone deserves your story. Not everyone, your calling is not a conference call. Not everybody hears it or understands it. Okay.
Got it.
And I think that if we're really lucky in life, we might have 1, 2 or 3 people in our life that we might have that we can really listen to. But I would say be very specific, number one, on who you ask. Are they going to be positive? Do they not project your goals? By the way, are they in a space to do it? Sometimes I know my marriage is like this. Sometimes I'm feeling on top of the world. My husband might be, I wouldn't say struggling, but he's just in a different spot. Whereas, hey, listen, sometimes I can make dinner and sometimes he can make dinner. And then sometimes we do Uber Eats, right? Or not anymore. We're trying not anymore,
because that was a goal. That was a goal.
But I will say, on the other side of that is, not only to be cognizant of who you're asking, but also to be really specific of what you're asking. Because once something gets said, I haven't found a way to take back what has been said before.
You can't unsay it. Yeah.
What's that saying? Read it, write it, forget it, say it, forget. Kelly Anderson, and when I need you right now. Marcy,
Read it, write it, say it, forget it.
That's it. That's
Read it, write it, say it, forget it. Got you.
Yeah. And I would say that when you're asking, and this is true for all feedback, so whether you're a leader, whether you're a business owner, whether you're in a relationship, whether you're single, mingling, just nomadic lifestyle out there, and you're tuning into this now, I would say that, one thing that we can all get better at is asking questions with clarity of the people we're asking them to, of asking if we're looking for intention behind it. Sometimes we can say things just because we want to hear ourselves talk. But you know what? If you go around saying the same things or complaining about the same things, I don't think you really want a solution. I think you want an audience.
You want a bitch.
Yeah.
And if you see the red flag go up, go back to the basics, go back to that foundation that you built, and then you walked up to where you were, and then calm yourself back down and humble yourself.
So sometimes when you ask somebody to ask for a goal, sometimes it's just you want to listen to yourself. Okay, I got you. You got to be really careful about what you're doing.
You can hire Megan Ely and have that be a PR agency move. I think that's really smart. Smart if you want to do something like that.
Well, and we're huge fans of Megan. But
Megan rocks.
So I want to actually go back to the basics, and because we only have a couple minutes left, is that if you're going to be setting goals, it needs to be personally, professionally, relationship, and community. I think that the 4 quadrants are really super important, because I feel like it's not just personal, but it's also in giving to your community, and that's really important to the soul. Is that? Yeah. Do you feel like that's
1,000%? And let me just say out loud that I make no qualms about it. I want everyone tuning into this show to be rich AF. Like event professionals, wedding professionals, hospitality, catering, production, all of us, we would be and are going to be fantastic rich people. Could you imagine the best parties, the most charities? We'd have fabulous soirees. Like we'd take care of everybody, would tip like 30, 40, 50%. Everyone's getting tipped. It'd be fabulous. So let me just say out loud that like at the core of what I do is that I believe that happiness and success really go together. And the research that I've come up with and the research that I pull from shows that. The University of California did a study in 2008 and 2018. They revisited it. It asked the question, does success make you happy, or does happiness make you more successful? And anyone who worked in the events industry, by the way, we knew this without the data, but it says that happiness is a precursor to success. Happy people get paid more. Happy people get more clients. They're promoted more. They're more liked by their peers and their leaders. They score more points in the NBA. Yo, you look at some of the top scorers in the NBA, and you're going to see their huge smiles on and off the court. LeBron James, come on.
Because he's got millions of dollars coming into his bank account.
Right?
We went from flowers and brides to basket hoops. Perfect. I'm good with it.
One of the
works.
coolest,
the math is still the
coolest
same.
things. That's true. And one of the coolest things I think that this correlation really gives us, and that we're not surprised about, is that happy people not only are more successful, but they give more. And when people give to other people, it makes them happier, which creates the cycle all over again. And that's the world. I think, like, let me just say out loud, if you're sitting out there thinking, oh, well, I've got goals and and this and that and this and that, and it's for this person and it's because of this and all this stuff. Let me just say right now, if you have goals that seem fun to you, that create a life and a person that you're proud to be, that leave a legacy behind you, and that get you closer to a life that you really want to live, and you enjoy it along the way, let me just say out loud, that impacts everyone around you. That proves to your kids that are watching, or your nieces and nephews, or your community members, like what's possible.
Did you have her on three-way yesterday, Keith, when I called you? What's going on here? Is this a setup?
This is not a setup. This is not an intervention. This isn't anything.
No, we had this conversation yesterday, and it's like smack me right in my face, and I'm like, hi.
It's crazy. So again, oh my God, I can't believe that's already our hour.
I know.
I mean, I don't feel like we covered enough. We didn't even get to the point.
I know. I just
like
I don't know the dark.
And talking to your boss about sales goals and all that stuff. Oh my God.
We'll do round two.
That means you have to come back.
Definitely.
That definitely means you have to come back. So,
It'd be
Rachel
my honor.
Sheeran, thank you again so much for being part of Behind the Veil. If you want to learn more about Rachel Sheeran or want to check her out, go to rachelsheeran.com. Also, her Instagram is her name, Rachel Sheeran. And she is a world-class speaker. So if you have a company out there and that you're looking at figuring out how to set goals for, call her, because she's amazing. You think she's amazing on this show? You should see her in person. Because
she comes back, I'll be on time and have a new ring light. That I promise.
I love it. I love y'all. And thank you so much for loving on our weddings and events industry the way that you do, showing up so consistently, so open-hearted, having candid conversations. Like, it's just such a cool, safe space. So I appreciate y'all. I'm so thrilled to be back.
All right. So we'll see everybody again next Tuesday at 2:00. But for now, say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.